A couple of months ago, I kind of went viral on TikTok when I made a post about some toxic patterns that I've healed from as a 25-year-old black woman. So I turned 25 in July, so this is probably like July, August time. And so there were 5 things that I touched on, and it was in carousel. So they were like individual pictures with words on them. So I didn't like explain these things on TikTok, but they still went kind of viral. I got a lot of comments, shares, saves, likes, and it was great. And it really inspired me to continue on my journey of, first of all, my own inner work and healing, but also sharing my growth and sharing different ways that we can all become better and just heal from the things that we didn't even know that we needed to heal from. So I'm going to touch on those things in this video. I'm going to try not to make it a really long video because I have 2 posts that went viral. So it was this one about toxic patterns, and then it was another one about relationship advice I would give as a 25-year-old wife. So I'm going to do this video and that video today. I'm going to record them both today, but they're going to be uploaded on different days. But yeah, I'm going to try not to make these, long and super drawn out. I'm just going to get straight to the point. And I want to say that the reason why I'm outlining, me being a black woman in the title and even just in this video is because these are things that I see that are very predominant in my community as a black person. I see it in my family. I see it and people that I meet, people on the job. And like I said, these are things that we don't even know that we need to heal from. A lot of these things are things that are just so normal and just so like accepted, and we don't even realize until later on. So I'm very blessed and grateful that, God put this in my heart at a younger age to heal from, so that I can continue to grow and heal in other ways, and I can help others, no matter what age I am. So I hope this can help someone, whether they're 25, 19, 30, 50. These are all things that we can all heal from to help us to become better and just more free and more present in the world. So I have 5 points, and I'm going to read the post for each topic, and then I'm just going to touch on it a little bit. So the first one, I said, I had a victim mentality. I grew up in an unstable environment until I was a teenager, and even then I still felt like everything was happening to me. I went to therapy and I realized that I have survived what I experienced, and I shouldn't give another human power over my life. This changed my life forever. I don't take things personal anymore. Now, am I 100% healed to the point where I never take anything personal? No. But for the most part, I do not take things personal. And that is mainly because I stopped being a victim to life. I stopped allowing people to have power over me. And in this case, it was mostly about my parents. I was always focused on how they made me feel and, what they did to me. And rightfully so as a kid. And don't get me wrong, I don't have terrible parents. They weren't abusive. But just the typical, toxic things that we deal with when it comes to family and households, I dealt with a lot of those things. And, being that I was in an unstable environment when I was younger, I went through a lot of different things and I became a victim. I was so focused on, what I didn't get and what I wish would have happened, and, why certain things made me feel certain ways. And like I said, rightfully so, we are human. We are allowed to feel and we are allowed to express, and we have emotions. That's one of the things that sets us apart from animals. But it gets to a point where you have to stop giving your power to situations, to people, and being a victim. You won't accomplish anything in life if you are so focused on being a victim. And I hate to say it, and even in the black community, how a lot of people focus a lot on what white people did back in the day. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't there to experience it, so I can't 100% resonate with how they feel. But I know that we are all individuals, and God put power in us to have some will and control over our lives. And it's not productive to allow other people to control our emotions and control how we feel and control how we operate in life. Instead of you taking action, you would rather sit and talk about, what your parents did or didn't do. And it's just not fair to you because you're just not allowing yourself to heal and grow and just let things go and allow the past to be the past. So one of the top things I did was changing my perspective and letting go of that victim mentality. And it's taken me so far, even just in my personal life, when it comes to work, when it comes to my relationship. Like at work, I don't have that mentality of being a victim. I take accountability for my actions, and I also am really great at just letting things go. No matter how small or big they are, I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to be coddled. I don't want to feel like I don't have control over my own emotions. So, releasing that victim mentality was one of the first things that I did when I started my healing journey. And I recommend that being one of the top things that anyone does when they start this journey of self-development and healing. Okay, the next one, this one was really, 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 really big for me. So I believe that resting meant that I was lazy. When I was in college, I worked multiple jobs to survive. And once I left, I still felt like I had to continue operating from survival mode. I shamed people who did any type of resting. And as I'm growing into my womanhood, I've learned that God wants us to rest, and that working without rest is unhealthy, short and long term. And it's so crazy because even today, like my job, they asked me if I could come in 3 hours early. Absolutely not. I went to work early yesterday and on Monday, and I'm off tomorrow, and I was even this close to picking up a shift for tomorrow. And I said, you know what? No, I'm not doing it. I need to give myself time to rest, give myself time to work on the things that I truly want to pour into, the things that are really helping me to grow and become better. And that's something that has still taken me a long time to accept and be okay with. Although I'm not saying I don't want to go to work so that I can rest, me not being at work is resting, no matter what I'm doing. Just having a break from being in that mode of being in that masculine energy, as a leader and someone who's like delegating and in charge. I need to take a break from that and be in my womanhood, be in my femininity, and just be in my godly energy. Of course, I'm operating godly at work, but I just mean being in that energy of rest, of preserving my energy and using my time wisely. And that's something that I've had to develop over the years because, like I said, I was in survival mode. As a teenager, I worked since I was 16 years old. I went to college. I pretty much took care of myself. I didn't really ask my parents for anything, and we didn't really have that great of a relationship to where I could, because when I did, it was an issue. There was arguments. There was, so I took it upon myself to say, you know what, I'm just going to go get me a job. So I worked literally 2 or 3 jobs. I had a work study job, I had an off-campus job, I had 2 on-campus jobs. So I was always working, and I never rested. Even on Sundays, I worked on Sundays. Luckily now, I never work on Sundays, and I love it. I allow that to be a full rest day. But I had to learn that it is okay to rest. It's okay to take naps. Don't shame other people for doing it. I used to envy people who would, they would sleep in or go to bed early or take their naps. I used to be like, you're lazy. But now I take all that back. Please get your rest. Take your naps. You are not a machine. We are humans. We need rest. We need to take care of our minds and our bodies, physically, spiritually, and mentally. And a lot of that comes with sleeping and resting and just allowing ourselves to be in a calm state. So I had to heal from that, and getting out of survival mode was accepting that I can rest. I can say no. I can take a step back. I can rest from the gym. Because that was another thing. I was going to the gym 6 days a week. Now I only strength train 4 days a week. And those other 2 days I'm doing cardio. But like today I'm going to go for a walk. But I'm not just going to go to the gym 6 days a week. Because first of all, you can't out-train the bad diet. I got to make sure that my nutrition is on point anyway. So that kind of helps me stay balanced and help me stay disciplined when it comes to what I'm eating. But also just helping me rest more, allowing my body to actually build and develop and not overworking myself. So accepting that it's okay to rest, especially as a Black woman, because we are seen as these strong women who can do it all, who can be it all. And yes, I'm all for it, but we also need to be allowed to rest and take care of our minds and take care of our spirits. So this is me giving you that permission to rest, to take your naps, to sleep in, to wake up early if you want and go to bed early, whatever it is that allows you to be in your feminine and allows you to recuperate and just get your mind and your soul together, do it. I'm giving you permission, and you need to give yourself permission as well. Okay, now this next one, y'all, this was, okay, if I had to rate all of these, I would say this is number one. So I was a chronic people pleaser to feel safe and accepted by family. I will always go out of my way to do things for my family, even when I knew the energy wouldn't be reciprocated. I am a family-oriented person, so I never wanted to create conflict, but now I don't accept the bare minimum from anyone and will never pour from an empty cup again. We're only here to please God. Quick story time. I have this cousin, we're the same age. Love her to death. If she's watching this, I love you. But listen, I would give to her, and I would literally receive nothing. Literally. And this was like college days. And it got to a point where I literally had to tell her, if you don't start giving me the same energy that I give you when it comes to showing up for you, helping you out when you needed it, we're done. Family or not, we are done. I cannot keep doing. And not that I want to receive anything, but just knowing that if I needed something, I couldn't call and ask. And once I was bold enough to say that and courageous enough to say it, things changed, but of course, I still have to have those strong boundaries. I'm the oldest sibling. I'm the eldest daughter. If you know, you know, especially in the Black community. We overextend ourselves. We exert ourselves to the point where we can't come back. Like, we do a lot because we want our families to be well. We want to help everybody, but it's to our own detriment. And Black women experience that a lot, especially these single Black moms who have to take care of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids on their own without any financial support. I salute them to the highest degree, but we have taken people pleasing to the highest degree. And we don't even know that we're people. I didn't even know I was people pleasing. Like, this whole time, I thought I was the most like stern, like person, like I didn't play. No, I was definitely a people pleaser. What really showed me that was like Christmas. So I'm a broke college student, and I'm literally cleaning out my savings every single year, every year, to buy all my siblings gifts, my parents, and even my friends. Until 2 years ago, I said, I'm done. Like, I love my siblings, but I have a lot of them. I'm not at the financial place where I can be buying all these gifts for all these people and get nothing in return. Barely a thank you, barely a birthday, happy birthday, barely. And it's like I said, it's not about wanting to receive things back. It's the idea that I know that if I were to need something, and the kids, okay, I get, but like the older ones, I know if I were to call them right now and be like, hey, can I borrow $50? The answer would be no, and I promise you guys the answer would be no. So I had to take a step back and say, I am done. And I also would do things for people knowing I didn't want to do it. I would say yes when I wanted to say no. And that's a big thing that I had to learn to stop doing, because that isn't their fault. That's my own fault for not being strong enough to say no and not being courageous and confident enough to say no. That's not their fault. That's on me. So I would show up to the things upset, knowing that, oh, this person is going to be late, or, you know, whatever the case may be. I would show up to things knowing I didn't want to show up, and that's not fair to the other person. So one thing that I did a couple of years ago when I was deep in my healing journey, this was my last year of college, so this was the end of 2021. I remember I had a cousin who was graduating college, and she's the first one in our whole family to graduate college, right? Because I was about to graduate that May. I didn't go to her graduation because I was so, like, I was going through dark times at the moment. I had some terrible memories come back to me. But also, I was in this space of like, these people don't support me. These people want me to always show up for them, but they never show up for me. So I didn't go. And that was like the first time I made a very bold decision of, I'm doing what's best for me no matter what it looks like to the other people. Because I had to help pay for a hotel, drive like 5 or 6 hours away. And like I said, I was a broke college student. All the money that I was making was to pay the bills that I had, to feed myself, and to put a little money in my savings account. So I was running on a very tight leash. There was only so much that I could give out. So that was one of the first big steps that I made when it comes to not being a people pleaser. And ever since then, like I said, I've learned how to say no, or I'll say, hey, I'll get back to you. But I'm not so quick to give a yes response. And even lately, I've become a lot more bold in saying no because blah, 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 blah. I had a cousin, or I did a previous video when I talked about the girls' night that I had in October. And one of the cousins asked me a couple weeks ago about doing something. And I was like, I'm not doing nothing else with y'all, because every time we do stuff, y'all are always late. You all come up with excuses. Like, I was bold with it, and I wasn't afraid to say how I really felt. Because the thing about this world is that everyone is so selfish. Everyone is so individualistic. And people are going to always do what's best for them. Always. Everyone is going to always put themselves first. And it's time that I had to start doing that for myself as well. So I'm not a selfish person by any means necessary, and everyone knows that. And that's why I became such a chronic people pleaser, because everyone always knew that I would say yes no matter what. My siblings, they'll call me for things. They knew I would say yes. So I'm not a selfish person, but I had to set up boundaries for myself to the point where I wasn't giving out too much, giving out more than I could give, and also creating boundaries and letting people know that I'm not somebody that you can walk all over. I'm not someone that's just going to say yes every time anymore. And just being bold with it and not being afraid. And that was one of the biggest things that I had to come to terms with. And then I also realized that, yep, this is my family, but this is my earthly family. God is the only one that I'm here to please. And He doesn't want me to pour from an empty cup either. Yes, He wants us to help and serve people, but you also have to know when you're being used. And that is something that I had to accept. Like, yes, this person is using you. This person knows that you're going to say yes. And it's very interesting because you see how people treat you differently when you start saying no. And that tells you where your relationship truly stands with people, whether it's family or not. So I say all this to say, learn to accept that it's okay to say no, and that it is not your job to pour from an empty cup, and it's not your job to please everybody. Even at my job, one coworker will like something, the other one won't, because I delegate tasks. And literally every day I end it by saying, I can't please everybody. I can't do what makes everyone comfortable. So you have to know that you're not going to make people comfortable all the time, whether it's family, friends, your relationship. You got to have boundaries with yourself. Sometimes it's okay, but more times than not, you need to have strong boundaries, and you need to become aware of those people who can reciprocate that energy, because most people will not reciprocate. Once people know that they can use you, they will keep using you, and they don't care how it makes you feel. So don't be a people pleaser. Heal from it. If you are the eldest daughter, if you are a woman, this is very essential to you. And this doesn't matter if you're a black woman, white woman, Hispanic, no matter what your race or ethnicity is. We are all individuals. We all have emotions. We all have to carry burdens. But don't let people pleasing be one of them, okay? Please don't, because it will create some self-esteem issues. It will create some self-image issues, and it will tarnish your relationships, because it will all be based on what you can give to them and not what you can receive. And honestly, great relationships are both give and take. It shouldn't be where one person is giving more than the other. And it doesn't have to be monetary or materialistic. Even just being able to call someone and tell them about your day, or tell them how you feel, or calling someone, asking them for advice. Like, these are all things that we should be able to do in a healthy way and in a healthy relationship. So yes, that's my little tidbit on people pleasing, and that's one of the things that I heal from. And that's something that I will always be continuing to rewire my brain and continue to remind myself that I am not a people pleaser. I'm only here to please God. Okay, so this next one is very important to relationships, especially for me, like with my husband. This is one of the top things that I had to work on to help our relationship flourish, especially since we've been married. So I was hyper independent. I was mostly raised by my dad, who taught me to be independent. I'm grateful for it, but it also had a downside, because I would walk around like I didn't need anyone. As a girlfriend of 7+ years and a newlywed, I learned that was toxic and that it would damage my relationship. I learned it's okay to ask for / accept help. And this shows up not even in just like in relationships with a romantic relationship. So like I said, I was raised by both parents, but towards my teenage years, as I was becoming a young woman, I lived with my dad. And so my dad, he made sure I went to work at an early age. I will say that I had the benefit of not having someone who pushed me to go to work at an early age, but he gave me some resistance when I first wanted a job, but then eventually he let me go and get a job. So I've been working since I was 16, and he bought me my first car, but he also like made me pay like half of my car insurance. I had to pay for my own gas, things of that nature, just to like help me understand how bills work. And that I will never take away. Like, I 100% respect it and appreciate that, because paying bills to me is not even something that I complain about at all. Like, it's a part of life, and it's something that I've been doing for so long that it's not even something to even talk about anymore. But he always taught me to take care of myself, and he never said that I didn't need anyone, but it kind of turned into that, because when I went to college and I would ask him for money, it was either no, not yet, or here, but da 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 da. You get what I'm saying? It was always something that came behind it. And I didn't like that. So I grew this mentality of, you know what? I don't need anybody. So like I said, I went and worked 3-4 jobs the whole entire time I was in college. I always worked, always had a job. And so that created this mindset of like, I don't need anyone. And when it came to my partner, I treated him that way, in a sense of having this division of your money, my money. I take care of me, you take care of you, but we're still in a relationship. It doesn't work that way, especially when you're married. You are a team, you're one, and I had to learn quickly that that is not the right mindset to have, and it's okay to ask for help. And then there is this in the black community, there is this thing of black women being hyper independent, like I said, because of the whole single mother thing, and women just being conditioned that way. We're not conditioned to see relationships the same way other cultures see relationships when it comes to being one, and the man is the head of the household, things of that nature. I wasn't taught those things at all. When it comes to relationships, I wasn't taught much, because my dad, he's telling me things from a man's perspective, so not letting a man use me, not letting a man X, Y, and Z. So I had already had this negative mindset when it comes to how things should run in a household with a man. So I had to heal and learn a lot, and I'm still learning a lot when it comes to marriage and relationships, because that is not something that I was taught at a young age. And that's something else that we have to heal from in the black community, is teaching us how relationships should be operating. Of course, it's on a couple by couple basis. You all do things that work for you, but I believe that there is a foundation and a baseline of how we should operate in relationships. So what I did to heal from being hyper independent is accepting help, and accepting that it's okay to ask for help. So even on a small scale of like, when someone gives me a compliment, I say thank you without all the, oh, well, my hair looks a mess today, or oh, girl, I'll just do something on. Just accepting it and being okay with someone saying something nice about me. Accepting when someone wants to help me in public, like holding the door, helping me carry groceries, helping me, whatever the case may be, just accepting it and not being so resistant towards it. And even like with my husband, if he wants to do something for me, I don't try to come up with the reason why he shouldn't or say no. I just accept it. If he wants to give me something, if he wants to buy me something, if he wants to pay for something, I shouldn't be coming up with any type of resistance, because he is wanting to do those things for me. And that's a part of relationship. Just like I may offer to do something for him that he may not be used to, and that's okay. So mainly with this was just changing my mindset and understanding that men are not the enemy. We are here to be reciprocal and have relationships that are fruitful and flourishing, and taking that into everything that I do in my life. Obviously having boundaries, but also just accepting that we are all here to help each other, and that being independent is only doing me more harm. It's allowing me or making me be in that masculine energy, in that negative toxic energy, versus just being in a flow state, being in a peaceful, calm state where things are coming to me, they flow easy to me, and just being receptive of it. So being hyper independent, it had its benefits when I was younger, in the sense of not allowing people to abuse me or use me. and just being a hard worker. But as I've gotten older, I know that it's not healthy and it's a toxic way to operate as a woman, but also operating in relationships. Now, this last one, a lot of people won't understand, but this is just how I operate. I try to get my sister to understand this because she has resentment towards a parent. But this is just what I believe, and I'm going to run with it. So I learned that titles can be toxic. For example, I stopped seeing my parents as just my parents, and I saw them as individuals. When you become aware and educated on why people behave certain ways, you start to give more grace and stop taking things so personally. This is not to excuse behaviors or things that have happened, but it led me to have more peace with everything I have experienced and will continue to experience as I deal with humans in general, because a lot of times it's them and not me. So this was really important when it came to just my parents and just any type of close relationship I had in my life, with my grandmother, different things that may have happened. I think I've mentioned I have a degree in social work, so I study a lot about trauma and family relationships and just the science behind it all. And I learned that you have to kind of look at the bigger picture and look at where your parents came from. They could only teach you what they knew. They can only treat you based on what they knew and what they think is right. Just like you in your relationships, you may be thinking that what you're saying and doing is okay, but it could very well be very wrong and detrimental to yourself and the other person. And we have to give grace, just like you want someone to give you grace when you make mistakes. We have to give other people grace, and that includes our parents. A lot of us have a lot of hatred and resentment towards our parents, especially when we start to talk about generational curses. But the thing is, we have to look at their bloodline and where they came from. What did their parents do for them? What did their parents teach them or didn't teach them? And that will kind of help you to understand that none of us are perfect. They did the best that they could. They did the best that they thought they could with what they knew. And it's for you at this point to take control of your life and to stop using the titles as a way of control. People, I think I mentioned this in the previous video, like when me and my sister had a falling out, and I remember talking about it with someone, and they're like, yeah, because, y'all are sisters, and I was like, I don't care about that. Like, I don't care if she was my brother, mom, dad. We have to stop using these titles as a way of thinking that people will treat us the best way because of that said title. Just because someone's your mom doesn't mean she's going to treat you the best. Just because someone's your sister or cousin doesn't mean they're going to treat you the best. Those titles really don't matter when it comes to how people make you feel and how they treat you. You would think because someone's your family, they're going to treat you right and treat you with respect, and they won't use you. They won't be selfish towards you. But I think we can all agree at this point in life that unfortunately our families are the ones who treat us the worst. So once I started to separate myself from the title and I saw my dad as who he is, I saw my mom as who she is and how they operate and how they see the world, I detached from expecting so much out of them and allowed me to stop taking things so personal. They said this because that's just how they see the world, and that's okay. They did this because that's how they see the world, and that's okay. It's all about everyone's perspectives, worldviews, and their experiences. This is not to say that being mistreated is okay, but it's just to say that if you want to live a life where you are free, where you are not being so controlled by other people's actions and sayings and words and phrases and how they see things, it will change your life. So for me, like I said, I detach from titles, I detach from experiences and allowing them control me. And for me, that is what it's all about. You don't want to be so controlled by these forces because they will have a hold on your mind and they will keep you from doing the things that you really need to do. When you focus so much on the past, it's keeping you from focusing on the future in the present moment. So these are the top 5 things that I focused on since 2020, 2021. It's about to be 2026. And I have done a lot of growth in healing, and it has made my relationships better, mainly because I do not take things personally. I understand why people do and say what they do, and it just helps me to live a life where I'm more carefree. I am less attached to all these things, and I'm more focused on becoming better in the things that I can control. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Let me know, maybe some of the things that you have grown through, or, comment on some of these things that I've talked about and how they work in your life and how you've seen those things in your life. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video where we will be talking about relationships.